Hello, this is Miss Lumley. Welcome to the Radical Functions Test Review. So our first problem of this video is number 16. So I'll tell you that I still do the 27 and the variable separately. Okay? When I look at the 27, I'm thinking about the exponent. The exponent tells me that there's an exponent and a root. The top number is the exponent, the bottom number is the root. So what I see when I do 27 is I take the 3 from the exponent and I put the 2 on the outside. Now you don't have to write this all out, but if you need to just so that you can see it, this is the way I would do it. So the cube root of 27 is 3. And then 3 squared equals 9. Okay, so actually 27 to the 2/3 is actually equal to 9. If you wanted to check that, you could go 27 to the 2/3 in your calculator, and you would be able to, and you would get 9. Okay, well, unfortunately, on this part of the test, there is no calculator, so we have to be able to do it manually. Okay, now for the variable, in these problems, you're going to have m to the 9th, and it'll be 2/3. Okay, well, that's really 9 over 1 times 2 over 3. Okay, because these two exponents multiply with each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply them, and that's going to give me 18. 9 times 2 is 18, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So it's really m to the 18 over 3, or m to the 6. So my final answer is going to be 9m to the 6th. Okay, so again, let me just repeat. I took the 27, did it separately because I knew I needed to do the cube root of 27, okay, and then I just multiplied the exponents for the variable. Remember, the bottom number means cube root, so when you have to cube root it, you'll want to put the 3 in the radical, in the root for the radical. Okay, all right, let's try number 17. Okay. So again, with the 16, I'm going to write the 16, and it's telling me that the 2 is on the bottom, which means I want to break it up. So that's going to be my root, and then I'm going to have a -3. Okay, so the square root of 16 is 4. 4 cubed is 64. Okay, however, it says that it wants a -3. Okay, anytime you do a -3, it's going to make it a fraction with a 1 on top. In other words, the 64 is going to go to the bottom of the fraction. So that means that I have to take 64 and place it on the bottom. Okay, so let's just review that one more time. For instance, if you put this in your calculator, let's say that I put in 2 to the -1 in the calculator. That would give me 0.5, or, like I said, you would put the 2 on the bottom. Okay, so let's say I had 2 to the -1. I'm using 2 to the -1 as an example just for this particular problem so that you can remember that this exponent of a -1 means that the 2 goes to the bottom of the fraction. And if you do this in the calculator, you'll see it really easily because you know what 0.5 looks like. You know 0.5 is going to be 1/2. All right, so let's go back to our problem. So right now we have 1 over 64. And we need to do the m, okay? So the m is going to be m to the 10th, and then you're going to multiply times -3/2. So what I do is I just basically go, okay, okay, so 10 times 3 is 30, and 30 divided by 2 is going to be 15. That means I have m to the 15th. but it's going to be negative because that's a positive times a negative. So it's supposed to be negative 15, which means I put everything down to the bottom, just like I did with the 64. Now when you put it down to the bottom, take the negative away. Okay, so now our answer is 1 over 64m to the 15th. All right, next problem. This one is one of those problems that everybody looks at it and says, oh my gosh, too much information, I can't do this. Okay, so then we just want to make it one big radical. 48 divided by 4, so we're going to do 48 divided by 4, right? That's just going to make 12. And then let's reduce x to the 9th. There's 9 x's on the top, 5 on the bottom, so if I cancel those, I'm going to have x to the 4th. And if I have 13 y's on the top and 4 on the bottom, that means I've got y to the 9th. And this is a square root problem. Okay, so if now look, it's so much easier now. All I have to do is take the 12 and split it up. Okay, so what's the square root of 4? That number comes out, that's a 2. The 3 doesn't square root, does it? So it has to go back on the inside. Do I have to write the 2 here? Well, I just don't want to forget to do it. All right, so how many x squareds are inside of x to the 4th? There are 2 x squareds and x to the 4th. And how many x squareds are inside of y to the 9th? There are 4. Y squared 4 times makes y to the 8th. Oops, I accidentally wrote 2. And so if I do y to the 4th, y to the 4th, I will get 1 left over. So I've got 1 y left over. Okay, you don't have to write the 1, but that's fine. So my final answer is 2x squared y to the 4th, the square root of 3y. Okay, let's try our next problem. All right, now with these problems, on number 19, I cannot add them together, okay? The square root of 98 and the square root of 50 are not like terms. So 98 and 50 cannot be added together. However, if I broke 98 down and 50 down. Okay, so you might say, well, I knew 50, but I didn't know that 98 had a 49 in it. Well, if you start dividing by 98, if you start dividing 98 by like 2 and 4 and things, you'll find it, okay? All right, so let's go back and let's do the square root of 49 is 7. So the 7 comes out and the 2 stays on the inside. Okay, oops, I accidentally put a 25 there because I was all ready to do 25. Oh wait, that is 25. Good. Okay, so the square root of 25 is 5. Let's do this again. 5. And then I have square root of 2 left over. So this 25, square root of 25 is 5. That 5 comes out, and now I have a square root of 2. The 2 stays on the inside of the radical for each one of these. And I have to do them separately. But now the square root of 2 and square root of 2 are like terms, and so I can put them together. So 7 plus 5 is 12. Square root, keep it a 2, because it's just like when adding x's, it just stays square root 2. Okay, and then that is your final answer. All right, so now we get to the 20, and it looks kind of difficult, but it actually is really not that big of a deal because I'm just going to put it all together. 10 times 2 is 20. I have 1 A here and 2 here, so I have 3 A's. I have 3 B's. You could actually do the B's and the A's, B's, and C's however you want to. It doesn't really matter. But I think putting them together is easiest for students, so I just put everything together. So then you've got a cubed, b cubed, and c to the 6th. Okay, I'm going to break this up. And so I've got 20 is 4 and 5. So the one that'll square root is the 4. The square root of 4 is 2. The one that stays on the inside is the 5. Okay, so I'm looking for a squared. I get 1a squared that comes out, and there's 1 left over, so that one has to stay in. There's 1b squared that will come out, and the other b has. Notice that when I take out the b squared, because the squared is canceling with the square root, I'm writing it just b to the 1. Just want to remind you guys of that. Okay, so c, I'm looking for c squareds. So there's 3 of them in there. Okay, so if I have 3c squareds, that makes c to the 6. So all of them came out. I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 inside the root so that it looks good there. And that is my final answer. 2abc cubed square root of 5ab. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Another one of these crazy division problems that look like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do it. Okay. And so then I honestly just need to make a radical. Okay. And I'm going to go 160 divided by 4. And that's going to make 40. Okay. And then I've got, how many x's do I have left? I have 6 x's left on the top there when you cancel everything. And I've got 10 y's. And now I just have to, oh, wait, it's a cube, so I need to make sure I'm doing that correctly. And then now I know exactly what I want, because if it had been square rooted, I could have used 4. But since it's cube rooted, I'm going to use 8, because I know the cube root of 8 is 2. The cube root of 8 is 2, so that's the one that comes out. I can't cube root of 5, so I have to put that one and leave it in. And I'm going to put my 3 in here because I need to make sure that I've shown that it's a cube root. Okay, so how many x cubes are in x to the 6th? There are 2 x cubes inside of x to the 6th. And how many y cubes are inside of y to the 10th? There are 3, because that would make 9 of them with 1 left over. Okay, so my final answer is 2x squared y cubed with a cube root of 5y. All right, well, that's it for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.